Well, I don't know as far as practices. I did find it interesting, which I guess gave me perspective of how good we have it here, that, as you said, very expensive to buy a house. So you're talking probably interest rates of, 10 to 20%, which we are really spoiled because we've been complaining a lot about these 6-7% interest rates, and that's nothing. And I know that if you're going to consider purchasing a house in another country, definitely going to cost you some more money. You're definitely going to want to get a lawyer that speaks English or an agent that speaks English. I know that you're probably going to, you want someone to navigate that for you more than you do here, because I know that there's a difference between the currencies, and that could really trip people up. And I think we were talking earlier when you were talking about how some of these places maybe don't have a kitchen or things of that nature. We don't think about things like that here. So those could be real pitfalls, I think, to watch for when you're buying overseas. We have an expectation of what we should be getting, and it could be very different. But on the flip side of it, I think where it could be a really good thing, as we were talking about earlier, some of these places are really inexpensive. So you might be able to buy a property, say in Costa Rica or something, for a fraction of what you could buy a property here. You could maybe use it as a VRBO, make a lot more money than you could make buying a VRBO here. You'd have to pay someone to manage it or whatever there, and then still have a vacation house to pop into. So that's a huge benefit. I think realizing how inexpensive some of these places are, little villas in Italy and stuff that are, $8,000.
Yeah.
That is crazy to think about.
It is crazy to think about. And also just I think that's something you should think about too, is if you're American, Canadian, looking at buying somewhere like Italy or anywhere, what is it? The sanguine nations, whatever it is called. People just think, oh, well, it's so cheap. Well, but if you can't stay there,
exactly,
and your tax rate's very high, or you're having to pay capital gains tax. I know in Mexico it's like 37% or something whenever you go to sell.
So back to the percentage, like for their interest rates, you're saying they're between 10 and 20%.
Yeah, I was really surprised in researching some of that. Overseas, in other countries, it's extremely expensive to borrow money.
Yeah, because we just think now like we're hovering in the high sixes right now, maybe low sevens, depending. Yeah. But man, you go, oh, that's a high interest rate, but we think we're the center of the universe, and we're not.
We do. That's our baseline, and we really believe that's high. And for us, it is high.
Yeah.
But yeah, try to go buy.
Like you mentioned,
else.
Though, the 30-year term is not typical in other places. So even if the interest rate's higher, you're paying less in interest.
If it's a shorter,
if you're not
shorter term.
Yeah.
So
and generally, you're not buying an $800,000 house like you would be in the United States. Yeah. So that's a big difference too.
Well, in Indonesia and the Philippines, foreigners cannot own land. So you can partner with people that are locals and buy property, but you as a foreigner, someone who is outside or is not a resident of that country, cannot legally purchase land. So they have loopholes and things that workarounds and whatnot. I thought that was pretty fascinating because...
And I have to say, I like that idea. I would like the idea that in your country, you are investing and you are reserving your real estate and resources for your citizens. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with foreigners in our country, but we all, a lot of times we have housing shortages here. And it would be nice to know that those things were reserved for our people, not for maybe a wealthy person from overseas that wants a second house and they're, taking those resources away. So that's not a bad plan for places like that, but not a lot of countries do that.
I know Spain is having huge protests right now, trying to get Airbnb, VRBO, foreign buyers out because they're having a housing shortage and locals can't buy.
And that goes back to my point. If you were going to buy an investment property and you wanted to buy a property here or you wanted to buy one there, you could buy one a lot cheaper. You've got a lot of wealthy people coming in. They're going to keep it full all the time. It could be a really good investment for us, but you think about the people of that country. Yeah, people like us are snatching up those houses, paying cash. It's easy for us to get. But for them, that's the resources. That's the only housing that they have. And it's being taken away.
You could say the same thing here, though. You can say the same thing with investors coming in. I mean, look at Telluride or Durango. It's people's second, third home. And people that own their house, that have owned it for a long time, cannot sell because they would have to move to a different city.
Sure.
They can't afford it. So I think that's kind of just the
yeah, but wouldn't it
side effect of real estate?